Dust clouds swirl across the Texas farmland as three black SUVs screech to a halt in front of a modest homestead. Through the kitchen window, Alisa Mitchell's unseeing eyes turn toward the sound, her hands frozen over the bread dough she's kneading. In the barn, her husband Michael's fingers tighten around a wrench as he reads the situation with the lethal clarity that made him a legend in the special operations community. They think they've found easy prey, unaware they've just stepped into the killing ground of America's most feared Delta Force commander. The afternoon sun beats down mercilessly as Miguel Ramirez steps out of the lead vehicle, his designer boots crunching on gravel. Behind him, 8 more cartel soldiers emerge, automatic weapons held casually but ready. They move with the arrogance of predators who've grown fat on terrorizing local farmers, claiming protection money, demanding land for trafficking routes. Miguel adjusts his gold-plated pistol, studying the weathered farmhouse with contempt. The property's strategic location near hidden canyon passes makes it perfect for their expanding operation. These American farmers, they always cave when faced with sufficient pressure. Alisa's hands tremble slightly as she wipes them on her apron, years of military spouse training kicking in as she mentally maps the locations of emergency supplies and escape routes. The accident that took her sight 3 years ago also sharpened her other senses. She counts at least 9 distinct sets of footsteps approaching the house. In the barn, Michael Mitchell moves with ghost-like silence, securing tools that could double as weapons. His mind calculates angles, distances, firing positions. Muscle memory from countless missions, transforming the familiar farm into a tactical environment. Miguel's boot strikes the first porch step with deliberate force, a calculated attempt at intimidation. The wood creaks ominously as his men spread out, covering approached with practiced efficiency. Their intel suggests a simple target, a blind woman and her farmer husband, likely to break quickly under threats. The cartel leader's fingers brush his pistol grip as he reaches for the screen door. Inside, Alisa stands calmly at her kitchen counter, face turned slightly away from the door. She appears vulnerable, perfect leverage to ensure cooperation. "Mrs. Mitchell," Miguel calls out in accented English, "we've come to discuss a business opportunity with your husband." His voice carries the false warmth of a practiced extortionist. Alisa's reply comes steady and clear, betraying none of the tension coiling through her body. "He's working in the barn. I can call him for you." Miguel's smile widens as he signals his men to maintain their positions. Everything proceeding according to plan. Michael watches through gaps in the barn's weathered boards as 2 cartel soldiers move to flank the structure. Their weapons ready, but handling betrays lack of serious training. Street thugs with expensive guns. His own hands remain steady as he continues working on the tractor, appearing absorbed in the task. Years of operations taught him the value of appearing harmless until the moment to strike. He catalogues their equipment, their positions, their patterns of movement, building a mental map of the tactical situation. Inside the house, Miguel's boot heels click against the hardwood floor as he circles Alisa's position at the counter. His men hold back, weapons trained on potential entrance points. "Your property has come to our attention, Mrs. Mitchell. The canyons to the north provide excellent transit routes. We're prepared to offer generous compensation for certain accommodations." Lisa's hands remain steady as she shapes another loaf, her unseeing eyes fixed straight ahead. "That's very kind, but we're not interested in selling." Miguel's friendly facade cracks slightly, as he leans closer, voice dropping to a menacing whisper. "Perhaps I'm not being clear. This isn't a request. The only question is whether you and your husband wish to profit from the inevitable or suffer unnecessarily." Outside, the two men approaching the barn note Michael's continued work on the tractor, dismissing him as a threat. Their first fatal mistake. Inside his chest, his heart rate remains steady, breathing controlled, the calm before engagement that every operator knows. Alisa's acute hearing picks up subtle shifts in the men's positions, the whisper of tactical gear, the minute, sounds of weapons being adjusted. Her years as a military wife taught her to read danger in the smallest details. "I understand completely," she replies, voice level, "but I'm afraid I must insist you leave our property immediately." Miguel's laugh carries no humor as he signals his men to take up more aggressive positions. "Your courage is admirable, but misplaced. Perhaps we need to provide a demonstration of our seriousness." In the barn, Michael notes the change in the guard's posture, the shift toward active threat. His hand moves fractionally closer to where his modified combat knife rests beneath scattered tools. The blade's weight is familiar, balanced perfectly. For throwing or close work, 10 years in Delta Force taught him to transform any environment into a weapon. The farm's layout, carefully planned during construction, creates natural firing lanes and choke points. His enhanced security systems, disguised as ordinary agricultural equipment, provide real-time tactical data. Miguel reaches for Alisa's arm, intent on delivering a painful lesson in cooperation. His fingers never make contact. In one fluid motion, she steps back, years of self-defense training compensating for her blindness. Her elbow strikes his solar plexus with precise force, driving the air from his lungs. As he stumbles, her other hand sweeps his legs, sending him crashing to the floor. His men raise their weapons but hesitate, unwilling to risk hitting their leader in the confined space. The sound of the scuffle reaches the barn. The two guards turn, momentarily distracted. Michael's knife flashes in the dusty air, finding its mark in the first man's throat with lethal precision. Before the second guard can react, Michael closes the distance, years of close-quarters combat training evident in every movement. A precise strike crushes the man's windpipe, another breaks his knee. Both guards neutralized in seconds, without a sound to alert the others. Inside, Miguel scrambles to his feet, rage replacing his calculated menace. "You've made a serious mistake," he snarls, drawing his gold-plated pistol. Alisa stands calmly, head tilted slightly as she tracks the positions of his men by sound. "No," she replies softly. "You did when you threatened my family." The screen door creaks, drawing Miguel's attention. Michael stands in the doorway, his stance relaxed but radiating lethal capability. The years of farm work have only enhanced his operator's physique, hardened muscle evident beneath casual clothing. "I believe my wife asked you to leave." Michael's voice carries the quiet authority of someone intimately familiar with violence. Miguel's men shift uneasily, finally registering something dangerous in his bearing. Their leader, however, maintains his arrogant stance. "You have no idea who you're dealing with," he sneers, weapons still trained on Alisa. "Actually," Michael replies, allowing some of his operational persona to surface, "I do. Los Zetas Cartel, mid-level commander, recently promoted after your predecessor's unfortunate accident. Trying to prove yourself by expanding territory." Miguel's eyes narrow as he processes this unexpected intelligence. His free hand moves toward his radio, intent on calling for backup. Michael's next words freeze him in place. Your reinforcements won't come. The two men watching the barn are already dead. Your communications are being jammed, and in about 30 seconds, things are going to get very interesting. As if on cue, the distant sound of approaching vehicles reaches them, but not the cartel backup Miguel expected. Alisa smiles slightly as she recognizes the particular rumble of engines. "Company's coming," she says softly. Through the windows, dust clouds approach from multiple directions. Miguel's remaining men call out in Spanish, reporting multiple vehicles converging on their position. Professional-looking trucks carrying hard-faced men, Michael's former Delta Force teammates, now private military contractors, men who'd served alongside him in the world's deadliest conflicts, who'd dropped everything to support their brother. "Last chance to leave quietly," Michael offers, though his tone suggests he's hoping they'll choose resistance. Miguel's response is predictable. He swings his weapon toward Michael while shouting orders to his men. The next few seconds demonstrate why Delta Force operators are considered among the world's deadliest close-quarters combatants. Michael moves like liquid violence, flowing around Miguel's aim while simultaneously disarming him and using his own momentum to slam him face first into the wall. Alisa drops and rolls as the cartel soldiers open fire, taking cover behind the solid kitchen island. Michael's movements are precisely choreographed, using Miguel's body as a shield while eliminating threats with surgical precision. Through the windows, his approaching teammates begin engaging the cartel members outside. The firefight is brief but intense, the difference between trained professionals and cartel soldiers immediately apparent. When silence falls, Miguel finds himself the only survivor of his team, pinned to the kitchen floor with his own pistol pressed against his head. Around him, Alisa and Michael's home shows surprisingly little damage, testament to the precision of the engagement. Through the windows, he sees his men lying still in the yard, while hard-faced operators secure the perimeter. "Here's what happens next." Michael's voice carries absolute certainty. "You're going to send a message to your superiors. This farm, this family, are off limits." Miguel, face bleeding from its impact with the wall, attempts to summon some final defiance. "You're dead. The cartel will..." Michael's laugh cuts him off. "The cartel will do nothing, because by tomorrow they'll know exactly who I am, who we are." He gestures to the operators outside. "Every special operations team I've worked with, every three-letter agency that owes me favors, every private military company run by my former teammates, all of them now focused on your organization." Alisa moves with perfect confidence through the kitchen, despite her blindness, retrieving zip ties from a hidden compartment. "You thought we'd be easy targets," she says, skillfully securing Miguel's wrists. "A blind woman and a simple farmer. Instead, you found a Delta Force operator and his very capable wife. I'd call that an intelligence failure." Outside, Michael's teammates have already begun policing brass and processing the scene, evidence of countless similar operations. "Think carefully about your next moves," Michael advises, as two operators haul Miguel to his feet. "Because if you or your cartel come near my family again, what happened today will seem like a pleasant memory." The threat carries absolute conviction, backed by the quiet competence of the men securing the property. Miguel, finally understanding the magnitude of his error, slumps in defeat as he's led away. Alisa moves into Michael's embrace, her acute senses telling her he's completely unharmed. Around them, his teammates begin congratulating them on a well-executed defense, sharing dark humor about the cartel's miscalculation. The afternoon sun continues its relentless beat down on the Texas farmland, but now it illuminates a very different scene, not vulnerable farmers at the mercy of cartel enforcers, but a deadly serious warning to those who threaten this family. The message would spread quickly through cartel channels. The Mitchell farm was not to be touched unless you were prepared to face the full fury of America's most elite warriors. In his private study high above Mexico City, Alejandro Cortez watches drone footage of the Mitchell farm incident with growing concern. The cartel leader's face remains impassive as Miguel stumbles through his report, detailing the humiliating defeat and the unexpected revelation of Michael Mitchell's true identity. Behind Cortez, the city skyline glitters like scattered diamonds, a testament to the empire he's built through decades of calculated violence and corruption. 9 men, Cortez muses, his manicured fingers tapping rhythmically on his mahogany desk. 9 experienced soldiers neutralized by a farmer and his blind wife. His voice carries no anger, only cold calculation. The drone footage continues, showing the precision with which Mitchell's teammates secured the area, their movements betraying extensive military training. A separate screen displays Mitchell's heavily redacted service record, obtained at great expense from compromised government sources. The cartel leader's security chief, Franco, steps forward from the shadows. Our intelligence was flawed. We had no indication of his Delta Force background. Cortez waves away the excuse, his mind already processing implications and opportunities. No, this is perfect. Mitchell's response tells us everything we need to know about him. His tactics, his connections, his priorities. A thin smile crosses his face as he studies the thermal imaging of the engagement, appreciating the lethal efficiency displayed. In a secure room beneath the study, analysts pore over satellite imagery of the region surrounding the Mitchell farm. The property's location near the canyon system represents a vital link in proposed trafficking routes. More importantly, it offers potential access to classified Department of Defense communication networks. The farm's proximity to military testing grounds making it an ideal surveillance position. Cortez's technical experts confirm the presence of sophisticated surveillance equipment disguised as agricultural sensors. He's not just a retired operator, Cortez concludes, replaying footage of Mitchell's precise hand-to-hand techniques. He's maintaining connections, staying active in some capacity. His fingers dance across a tablet, pulling up property records, shell companies, financial transactions. The farm's purchase coincides with a series of classified Delta Force operations, targeting cartel infrastructure. The Blind Wife, the Simple Farmer Act. It's a cover for something bigger. Franco studies the tactical overlays, noting how the farm's layout maximizes defensive positions while appearing completely innocent. We could hit it with overwhelming force. The property's isolated enough to prevent immediate response. Cortez shakes his head, understanding that brute force would only validate Mitchell's tactical preparations. No, we need to be smarter, more subtle. He pulls up another file, this one detailing Alisa Mitchell's background. Before the accident that took her sight, Alisa served as a military intelligence analyst, specializing in cartel operations. Her blindness resulted from a suspicious car crash that coincided with a major anti-cartel operation. Too many coincidences for Cortez's taste. They're not just defending their home, he realizes. They're running an operation. The question is for whom? The cartel leader's resources reveal a pattern of similar properties along the border, each owned by former special operations personnel. In a basement gym, Miguel endures another grueling rehabilitation session, his body bearing fresh scars from Mitchell's precise violence. The former commander's humiliation has transformed into obsessive preparation, studying combat techniques and operational patterns. His own surveillance reveals the steady stream of visitors to the Mitchell farm, former operators, intelligence officials, private military contractors, each arrival carefully timed to appear innocent, their vehicles modified to appear civilian. Cortez reviews footage from cartel operations across the region, noting patterns of failure that suddenly make sense. Key shipments intercepted, safe. Houses compromised, corrupt officials exposed, all following a consistent methodology. Mitchell's not just gathering intelligence, he concludes. He's coordinating a systematic dismantling of our infrastructure. The precision matches Delta Force tactics, but the scale suggests broader involvement. Alisa's daily routines appear perfectly normal to casual observation. She maintains the farmhouse, tends a small garden, moves with the practiced confidence of someone who's adapted to blindness. But cartel surveillance reveals subtle details, her movements mapping precise patrol routes, her gardening providing cover for checking concealed sensors. Even her regular visits to town serve as counter-surveillance, her heightened senses detecting cartel observation attempts. We need to change the game, Cortez decides, closing the surveillance feeds. If Mitchell wants to play operator, let's give him a real operation to worry about. His fingers fly across his keyboard, accessing darker corners of his organization. Mercenaries, former Soviet Special Forces operators, specialists in psychological warfare, resources beyond typical cartel muscle. Find his pressure points, his vulnerabilities. Every operator has them. The cartel's psychological warfare experts build detailed profiles of the Mitchells, analyzing their routines, relationships, potential weaknesses. Alisa's blindness presents both challenge and opportunity. Her other senses are heightened, but she relies heavily on familiar patterns. Michael's protective instincts toward his wife could be leveraged, his tactical responses predicted. The farm's defenses, while impressive, require maintenance and resupply. Franco oversees the deployment of specialized surveillance equipment designed to pierce Mitchell's security measures. Thermal cameras track movement patterns, while sophisticated audio equipment records conversations. Drone coverage becomes constant but randomized to avoid detection. Every visitor is photographed, their vehicles tracked, their backgrounds investigated. Cortez builds a comprehensive picture of Mitchell's operation and support network. In his private range beneath the compound, Cortez practices with mechanical precision. His own Special Forces background, rarely revealed to subordinates, gives him unique insight into Mitchell's mindset. Each shot finds its mark as he visualizes the coming confrontation. Bring me everyone who survived the farm incident, he orders. I want to understand exactly how he moves, how he thinks. The survivors' debriefings reveal crucial details about Mitchell's combat style and tactical preferences. Technical analysts identify gaps in the farm's security coverage, brief windows where patrols overlap or sensors recalibrate. The property's power grid, while backed up by generators, relies on predictable maintenance schedules. Water supplies, communication lines, supply routes, each potential vulnerability mapped and analyzed. Cortez builds multiple contingency plans, each designed to exploit different weaknesses. Alisa's former intelligence work provides another angle of attack. Her classified projects, supposedly erased after her accident, contain concerning implications for cartel operations. Cortez's cybersecurity team uncovers fragments suggesting she hadn't simply analyzed cartel activities. She discovered critical vulnerabilities in their entire organizational structure. Her accident coincides with several major compromises. In cartel security, she's not just gathering intelligence now, Cortez concludes, studying patterns in recent cartel losses. She's actively exploiting weaknesses she identified years ago. The blind woman's apparent helplessness masks a dangerous mind, one intimately familiar with cartel operations. Combined with her husband's tactical capabilities and their network of operational support, they represent a sophisticated threat to his organization. Miguel's rehabilitation progresses as he absorbs every detail about Mitchell's combat techniques. His hatred focuses his training, transforming him into something more dangerous than a simple cartel commander. Cortez watches his progress with approval, recognizing the value of personal motivation. The humiliated commander's desire for revenge will make him a useful tool in the coming operation. Cortez's network of corrupted officials provides concerning intelligence about increased federal attention to the border region. Mitchell's activities appear coordinated with official operations, suggesting active cooperation with law enforcement agencies. The cartel leader recognizes the need to act before this cooperation expands further. Prepare the first phase, he orders Franco. Let's see how our former Delta operator handles asymmetric warfare. The cartel's psychological warfare experts begin subtle operations, testing the Mitchells' reactions to various forms of pressure. Strange sounds in the night, irregularities in power supply, minor equipment malfunctions. Each incident designed to create uncertainty while staying below the threshold for active response. Cortez studies their reactions, building a more detailed understanding of their capabilities and limitations. High above Mexico City, Cortez finalizes his plans as the sun sets behind distant mountains. The Mitchell farm has become more than a simple territorial dispute. It represents a direct challenge to his organization's operational security. The former Delta operator and his intelligence analyst wife have transformed their quiet homestead into a sophisticated forward operating base. Their elimination has become both tactically necessary and personally satisfying. Begin preparations, he orders, closing the surveillance feeds. I want options for dealing with their support network, contingencies for every possible response. Around him, his organization mobilizes with practiced efficiency. Resources are allocated, specialists activated, plans set in motion. The quiet farm in Texas has no idea of the storm gathering south of the border. As one of Mexico's most sophisticated criminal enterprises prepares for war, Franco coordinates with specialized teams, each assigned specific aspects of the operation. The cartel's resources shift like pieces on a chessboard, moving into position for a coordinated campaign. Cortez allows himself a small smile as he reviews the preliminary reports. Mitchell's tactical excellence and Alisa's intelligence background make them formidable opponents, but every defense has its weaknesses. The coming days would test the limits of their capabilities, forcing them to defend against threats both subtle and overwhelming. The first signs of Cortez's campaign manifest in subtle ways that only Alisa's heightened senses detect. Small disruptions in the farm's daily rhythm, unfamiliar engine sounds in the distance, slight variations in regular delivery schedules, the barely perceptible hum of drone surveillance. Her fingers trace weather-worn braille notes as she logs, each anomaly building a pattern that her intelligence training recognizes as preliminary reconnaissance. Michael notices changes too, his operator's instincts picking up shifts in local dynamics. Regular customers at the farm stand becoming slightly too interested in property layouts. Repair crews working on nearby power lines taking longer than necessary. His old teammates report similar patterns at other properties along the border, suggesting a coordinated effort to map their defensive capabilities. In their reinforced basement command center, Alisa's fingers dance across specialized computer equipment, the screen readers converting tactical data into audio information. They're building a comprehensive profile, she concludes, cross-referencing incident reports, testing response patterns, probing for weaknesses. Michael studies the tactical displays, noting increased cartel activity along established trafficking routes. Cortez, he says grimly. He's personally taken interest. Their security system, disguised as agricultural monitoring equipment, records increasing sophisticated attempts at penetration. Signal analyzers detect probing frequencies, while thermal cameras track professional reconnaissance teams operating just beyond the property line. Michael's former teammate Jake, monitoring from his private security company's headquarters, confirms similar activity at other defensive positions along the border. Alisa's network of local contacts reports subtle pressure being applied throughout the region. Bank loans suddenly reviewed, building permits delayed, routine inspections becoming more aggressive. They're trying to isolate us, she analyzes, her intelligence background recognizing classic insurgency tactics, reducing local support, creating administrative friction. Michael's jaw tightens as he reviews security footage of unfamiliar vehicles passing the property, their patterns too regular to be coincidental, the farm's defensive preparations carefully. Concealed beneath its working agricultural facade, shift to higher alert status. Hidden weapon caches are checked and updated, communication protocols tightened, response plans rehearsed. Alisa's daily routines continue unchanged, but now she carries additional sensors, monitoring for chemical or biological agents. Michael maintains his cover as a simple farmer while updating the property's emergency evacuation procedures. Their private security network, built through years of shared combat experience, reports increased cartel recruitment of military specialists. Former Spetsnaz operators, Israeli combat instructors, private military contractors with specific counter-terrorism expertise. Cortez is building a specialized unit, Jake warns during an encrypted video call. These aren't standard cartel thugs. Alisa's fingers trace tactical overlays as she analyzes potential attack vectors. Local law enforcement, those not yet compromised by cartel influence, notice subtle demographic shifts in the region. New businesses opening with suspicious financing. Property purchases through shell companies, increased traffic through normally quiet areas. The pattern suggests establishment of forward operating positions, preparation for sustained operations. Michael's contacts in federal agencies confirm increased chatter about major cartel movements. During a secure meeting in their reinforced barn, Michael briefs his closest teammates on defensive preparations. The farm's innocent appearance masks layers of sophisticated security, automated defense systems, prepared ambush positions, emergency response protocols. Alisa's intelligence background has helped identify likely attack scenarios, allowing focused preparation for specific threats. The cartel's psychological warfare begins to escalate. Power fluctuations become more frequent. Communications experience irregular interference. Delivery services report mysterious scheduling conflicts. Alisa's acute hearing picks up surveillance drones operating at night, their patterns suggesting detailed mapping of the property. Michael notes increased attempts to track their supply shipments and monitor visitor movements. In their command center, Alisa analyzes data from perimeter sensors while Michael reviews tactical response options. They're building a complete operational picture, she concludes, detecting patterns in the probing attacks. Testing our technology, our response times, our support network. The tactical displays show increased cartel activity along multiple approach routes, suggesting preparation for coordinated operations. Jake's security teams report sophisticated cyber attacks against their communication networks, while other former operators note attempts to compromise their operational security. The cartel's approach shows professional military planning, focusing on systematic weakness identification rather than brute force. Alisa's intelligence experience recognizes elements of Russian doctrine, suggesting involvement of their newly recruited specialists. The farm's defensive posture adapts to emerging threats. Additional sensors deployed, communication protocols randomized, supply routes varied. Michael's agricultural work provides cover for checking security positions and updating defensive preparations. Alisa's daily activities mask continuous monitoring of surveillance attempts, her heightened senses detecting subtle changes in local patterns. Their support network reports increasing pressure on multiple fronts. Financial investigations targeting legitimate businesses, administrative harassment of allied properties, subtle intimidation of local contacts. The cartel's approach shows sophisticated understanding of insurgency operations, aiming to isolate and undermine rather than directly confront. During a secure video conference, Alisa briefs allied operators on identified patterns while Michael updates defensive protocols. The tactical displays show systematic cartel probing of their entire border network, suggesting preparation for larger operations. Jake's analysis confirms involvement of professional military advisors, elevating the threat level significantly. The farm's perimeter security detects increasingly sophisticated reconnaissance attempts, thermal signatures suggesting professional infiltration teams, signal monitoring indicating advanced surveillance equipment, drone patterns showing detailed tactical mapping. Alisa's intelligence background recognizes preparation for precision operations rather than traditional cartel violence. Michael's agricultural deliveries provide opportunities to check external security positions and update emergency caches. The property's defensive preparations, while comprehensive, require constant maintenance and updating to counter evolving threats. Alisa's network of sensors provides early warning of surveillance attempts, allowing proactive response to cartel probing. Their command center continues monitoring regional patterns, detecting increased cartel movement through established channels. Supply shipments, personnel transfers, equipment positioning. all suggesting preparation for sustained operations. Jake's security teams report similar activity across multiple sectors, indicating coordinated preparation rather than isolated incidents. Local surveillance detects establishment of apparent safe houses in nearby communities, while traffic patterns suggest positioning of forward support elements. The cartel's methodical approach shows clear professional influence, focusing on systematic preparation rather than immediate confrontation. Alisa's intelligence analysis identifies multiple layers of operational preparation. During evening security checks, Michael notes subtle signs of perimeter testing, displaced sensors, probe marks on defensive positions, evidence of technical surveillance attempts. Alisa's heightened senses detect increased drone activity, while their monitoring systems show sophisticated attempts to map the property's security measures. The farm's defensive network continuously adapts to emerging threats, adjusting sensor positions, varying patrol patterns, updating response protocols. Michael's agricultural activities provide cover for checking security positions and verifying defensive preparations. Alisa's daily routines mask constant monitoring of surveillance attempts, her acute senses detecting variations in normal patterns. Their support network reports increasing sophistication in cartel operations across the region. Professional military tactics, advanced technical capabilities, coordinated psychological operations. Jake's security teams confirm involvement of experienced military advisors, suggesting preparation for precision operations rather than traditional cartel violence. The command center's tactical displays show systematic probing of defensive positions, suggesting detailed operational planning. Alisa's intelligence background recognizes elements of professional military doctrine, while Michael's combat experience identifies preparation for coordinated attacks. Their monitoring systems detect increased surveillance activity, indicating detailed mapping of security measures. During secure communications with allied operators, they share analysis of emerging threats and update response protocols. The tactical situation shows clear escalation, with cartel forces establishing forward positions and conducting sophisticated reconnaissance. Jake's reports confirm recruitment of military specialists, suggesting preparation for precision operations. The farm's agricultural facade continues providing cover for defensive preparations, while Alisa's daily activities mask continuous security monitoring. Their sensor network detects increasing sophistication in surveillance attempts, indicating professional military influence in cartel operations. Michael's routine maintenance allows regular checking of defensive positions and updating of security measures. Local intelligence sources report subtle pressure being applied throughout the region, suggesting systematic preparation for larger operations. The cartel's approach shows clear professional influence, focusing on coordinated preparation rather than immediate confrontation. Alisa's analysis identifies multiple layers of operational planning, indicating preparation for sustained campaign. Their command center continues monitoring regional patterns, detecting increased cartel activity through established channels. Support positions being established, equipment positioned, personnel moved into place, all suggesting preparation for major operations. Jake's security teams report similar activity across multiple sectors, indicating coordinated preparation rather than isolated incidents. In the pre-dawn darkness, Alisa's sensitive hearing picks up the first major breach of their defensive perimeter. The faint scrape of tactical gear against wire, nearly imperceptible to normal hearing, triggers her immediate alert. Southeast corner. She whispers into her secure comm unit, fingers dancing across her specialized computer system. Professional infiltration team, approximately 6 operators based on movement patterns. Michael's response is immediate but measured, years of Delta Force experience evident in his calm reaction. Through thermal imaging, he tracks the infiltration team's progress, their movement betraying extensive military training. The cartel's new specialists are making their first serious probe of the farm's defenses. In the command center, Alisa's fingers trace tactical overlays as she coordinates with their security network. Jake's voice comes through encrypted channels, his team already moving to predetermined support positions. 2 more groups approaching from the north and west. These aren't cartel thugs. Their formation and spacing suggests special forces training. Michael watches through advanced optics as the teams methodically probe their defensive perimeter, noting how they avoid obvious security measures while searching for weaknesses. The farm's automated defense systems remain passive, collecting data on the intruders' techniques and equipment. Alisa's enhanced hearing tracks their communications, encrypted but using frequencies suggesting Russian military origin. Spetsnaz tactics, she analyzes, recognizing patterns from her intelligence background. They're mapping our response capabilities, not trying to breach. Michael positions himself in a concealed observation post, watching the professional infiltration teams work. Their equipment and methods confirm Cortez's recruitment of serious military talent. Through secure communications, Allied operators report similar probing attacks across their network of defensive positions. The cartel's new specialists are conducting coordinated reconnaissance in force. Alisa's monitoring systems detect sophisticated electronic warfare equipment being deployed just beyond their sensor range. Signal jammers, communication interceptors, tactical scanning devices, all suggesting preparation for a major operation. The infiltration team's movements create a precise pattern, systematically testing different aspects of the farm's security. In their command center, tactical displays show the broader operational picture. Multiple cartel units moving into position around the region, establishing support positions and forward bases. Jake's security teams track increased movement through known trafficking routes, suggesting buildup of resources for sustained operations. The professional infiltration teams are just the first wave. Michael catches movement at the edge of his observation post's range, a familiar figure directing the operation. Miguel, his injuries from their previous encounter healed, coordinates the reconnaissance teams with practiced efficiency. The former cartel commander's humiliation has transformed him into something more dangerous, his movements showing extensive recent training. Alisa's fingers trace new data feeds as additional sensors activate. They're mapping everything, she analyzes. Power systems, water supply, communication lines. This is preparation for a siege. Her intelligence experience recognizes the methodical approach of professional military planning. Through their security network, Allied operators confirm similar patterns across multiple defensive positions. The infiltration teams withdraw before dawn with military precision, leaving behind sophisticated monitoring devices carefully concealed in the landscape. Michael's sweeps locate most, but not all. They're meant to find some, suggesting more carefully hidden surveillance equipment. Alisa's enhanced senses detect new electronic signatures indicating permanent observation posts being established. Jake's morning briefing confirms escalation across the entire border region. They're setting up forward operating bases disguised as legitimate businesses, professional military contractors moving in under cover of normal cartel operations. This is going to be bigger than we anticipated. The tactical displays show systematic positioning of assets for a coordinated campaign. Alisa's network of local contacts reports increasing pressure on support infrastructure. Supply companies finding their licenses under review, transportation, firms facing mysterious equipment problems, maintenance contractors experiencing scheduling conflicts. The cartel's new specialists are implementing classic insurgency tactics, targeting their logistical network. In their reinforced barn, Michael briefs his closest teammates on the night's events. The infiltration team's professionalism confirms Cortez's commitment to a serious operation. Their defensive preparations, while extensive, will need adjustment to counter the level of expertise they're facing. Alisa's intelligence analysis suggests preparation for a prolonged campaign rather than a single decisive attack. The farm's security systems record increased surveillance activity throughout the morning. Drones operating at various altitudes, communication monitoring from multiple positions, regular patrols by apparent civilian vehicles. The cartel's new specialists maintain constant observation while establishing patterns of local movement. Alisa's heightened senses detect regular changes in surveillance methods. Michael's agricultural work provides cover for updating defensive positions and checking security measures. The infiltration team's probing attack revealed several potential vulnerabilities requiring immediate attention. Through secure channels, Allied operators coordinate adjustments to their defensive network, adapting to the professional threat they're facing. Alisa's daily routines mask continuous monitoring of the evolving situation. Her fingers move across specialized equipment as she tracks electronic signatures and communication patterns. The cartel's new specialists maintain sophisticated surveillance while probing for weaknesses in their security network. Jake's teams report similar activity across multiple sectors. The command center's tactical displays show systematic positioning of cartel assets throughout the region. Forward bases established, supply lines prepared, communication networks expanded, all suggesting preparation for major operations. Michael's combat experience recognizes elements of Russian military doctrine in their methodical approach. The infiltration team's probing attack was just the beginning. Local law enforcement, though still uncompromised, report subtle changes in regional dynamics. New businesses opening with military precision, property purchases following tactical patterns, traffic flows suggesting regular supply movements. Alisa's intelligence background identifies classic signs of insurgency infrastructure being established. The cartel's new specialists are building a comprehensive operational network. Through secure communications, Allied operators share analysis of the evolving threat. The infiltration team's professionalism indicates a significant escalation in Cartel capabilities. Jake's security teams track movement of military-grade equipment through seemingly legitimate channels. Their defensive network faces a professionally coordinated campaign rather than traditional cartel violence. Michael's evening security checks reveal sophisticated attempts to establish observation posts around their perimeter. Concealed equipment, disguised monitoring devices, carefully positioned surveillance points, all suggesting professional military planning. Alisa's enhanced senses detect regular electronic surveillance from multiple positions. The cartel's new specialists maintain constant observation while preparing for larger operations. The farm's defensive systems adapt to emerging threats, adjusting sensor coverage and updating response protocols. Their security network coordinates changes across multiple positions, matching the professionalism of their opponents. Jake's teams report similar adaptations throughout their defensive network, preparing for sustained operations against professional military forces. Alisa's fingers trace tactical overlays as she analyzes patterns in the day's activities. The infiltration team's probing attack revealed sophisticated capabilities and professional training. Through their monitoring systems, she tracks establishment of forward positions and support infrastructure. The cartel's new specialists are building a comprehensive operational network around their defensive positions. Local intelligence sources report systematic pressure being applied throughout the region. Business licenses reviewed, property inspections increased, administrative requirements becoming more complex. Michael's combat experience recognizes classic insurgency tactics aimed at undermining their support network. The cartel's new specialists implement professional military doctrine in their approach. The command center continues monitoring regional patterns as night falls. Multiple cartel units maintain positions around their defensive network, while surveillance teams operate with professional precision. Jake's security teams track movement of personnel and equipment through established channels. Their tactical displays show systematic preparation for sustained operations. Alisa's enhanced senses detect increased activity as darkness provides cover for further reconnaissance. Professional infiltration teams operate at the edges of their sensor range, while surveillance equipment maintains constant observation. Through secure communications, Allied operators report similar patterns across multiple sectors. The cartel's new specialists coordinate sophisticated monitoring of their entire defensive network. Michael positions specialized sensors to track movement during the night, noting how infiltration teams adapt to their defensive measures. The farm's security systems record professional military tactics being employed in surveillance operations. Jake's teams maintain coordinated observation of cartel activities throughout the region. Their defensive network faces sustained pressure from experienced military operators. The first direct assault comes 3 days later, targeting not the farm but their support network. Alisa's monitoring systems detect coordinated attacks against Allied positions across the region, professional military teams striking supply caches, communication nodes, and defensive positions. Through encrypted channels, Jake reports sophisticated breaches of security at multiple locations. They're shorting their systematic weakening before the main assault. Michael tracks multiple strike teams through their surveillance network, noting the precision of their operations. Former Spetsnaz operators lead coordinated attacks against predetermined targets, while cartel forces provide support and coverage. In their command center, Alisa's fingers dance across tactical displays as she coordinates responses with their defensive network. They're isolating key positions, cutting supply lines. The farm's security systems detect increased electronic warfare activity as communication channels face sophisticated jamming attempts. Professional military teams establish blocking positions around critical infrastructure, while Cartel units move to control key terrain. Through thermal imaging, Michael observes systematic positioning of forces, suggesting preparation for a larger operation. Alisa's enhanced hearing picks up tactical movements at the edge of their sensor range. Infiltration. Teams establishing forward positions under cover of electronic countermeasures. Multiple breach points being prepared. She analyzes, recognizing patterns from her intelligence background. They're setting up for a coordinated assault. Jake's security teams report similar preparations across their defensive network. Intel. Their reinforced barn. Michael briefs trusted operators on the evolving situation. The cartel's new specialists demonstrate professional military planning in their systematic approach. Tactical displays show coordinated positioning of assets around multiple defensive positions. Alisa's intelligence analysis suggests imminent escalation to direct confrontation. The morning brings further pressure as cartel forces establish visible checkpoints on surrounding roads. Professional military contractors coordinate traffic control while maintaining surveillance of approach routes. Michael's combat experience recognizes preparation for isolating their position. Through secure channels, Allied operators report similar control measures being implemented across the region. Alisa's network of sensors detects sophisticated attempts to map their defensive preparations. Electronic warfare units probe security systems, while infiltration teams mark positions for future attacks. The farm's automated defenses record systematic testing of response capabilities. Jake's teams track similar probing activities throughout their defensive network. Local intelligence sources report increased cartel presence in surrounding communities. Professional military operators establish cover positions, while support units move supplies through seemingly legitimate businesses. Alisa's fingers trace tactical overlays, showing systematic positioning of forces. They're building a complete containment strategy. Michael observes increased surveillance from multiple elevated positions, professional teams establishing observation posts with military precision. Through thermal imaging, he tracks regular rotation of personnel and equipment, suggesting preparation for sustained operations. The farm's security systems detect sophisticated monitoring of all approach routes. In their command center, tactical displays show the broader operational picture. Cartel forces control key terrain, while professional military teams prepare specialized equipment. Alisa's enhanced senses detect regular communication between forward positions using encrypted channels. Jake's security teams report coordinated positioning of assets throughout the region. The afternoon brings the first direct probing of their immediate defenses. Professional infiltration teams test response times, while electronic warfare units attempt to disrupt security systems. Michael coordinates defensive measures as Alisa tracks sophisticated attempts to breach their perimeter. Allied operators report similar tactical pressure across multiple positions. Local law enforcement, those still independent, face increasing pressure from cartel influence. Professional military contractors establish presence in police jurisdictions, while support units control key infrastructure. Alisa's intelligence. Background recognizes systematic isolation of defensive positions. Through secure channels, their network coordinates responses to evolving threats. The farm's security systems adapt to sophisticated electronic warfare as professional military. Teams maintain constant pressure. Michael's combat experience guides adjustment of defensive measures, while Alisa monitors tactical movements. Jake's operators report similar adaptation throughout their defensive network. The cartel's new specialists demonstrate coordinated military planning. Alisa's fingers move across specialized equipment as she tracks multiple threat vectors. Professional infiltration teams probe defenses, while surveillance units maintain observation from concealed positions. Through thermal imaging, Michael observes systematic positioning of forces around their perimeter. The farm's automated systems record coordinated testing of security measures. In their reinforced barn, trusted operators review defensive preparations as tactical displays show increased threat levels. Professional military teams establish firing positions, while cartel forces control approach routes. Alisa's enhanced hearing detects regular movement of equipment and personnel. Jake's security teams report similar positioning throughout the region. The evening brings sophisticated attempts to disrupt their support network. Professional military contractors target supply lines while cartel units isolate defensive positions. Michael coordinates responses as Alisa monitors tactical communications. Through secure channels, Allied operators report systematic pressure across multiple sectors. Local intelligence sources track increased movement of specialized equipment. Through cartel-controlled areas, professional military teams establish forward bases, while support units position resources for sustained operations. Alisa's fingers trace tactical overlays, showing coordinated deployment of forces. The farm's security systems detect sophisticated preparation for larger attacks. Michael observes professional infiltration teams, marking breach points under cover of electronic warfare. Through thermal imaging, he tracks systematic positioning of assets around their perimeter. Alisa's enhanced senses detect regular testing of defensive measures. Jake's operators report similar tactical pressure throughout their network. The command center's displays show coordinated cartel operations across the region. Professional military contractors control key terrain, while support units establish supply lines. Alisa's intelligence background recognizes preparation for prolonged engagement. Through secure channels, their defensive network adapts to evolving threats. Local contacts report systematic pressure on civilian infrastructure supporting defensive positions. Professional military teams establish presence in critical areas, while cartel forces control movement. Michael's combat experience guides adjustment of security measures. The farm's automated systems record sophisticated probing of defenses. Alisa's network of sensors detects increased electronic warfare activity as night approaches. Professional infiltration teams maintain regular pressure while surveillance units observe responses. Through tactical displays, Michael tracks coordinated positioning of forces. Jake's security teams report similar patterns across multiple sectors. The farm's defensive systems face sophisticated attempts to disrupt communication and surveillance capabilities. Professional military contractors probe security measures, while cartel units control surrounding terrain. Alisa's enhanced hearing detects regular movement of personnel and equipment. Through secure channels, Allied operators coordinate responses to emerging threats. Michael observes increased activity along predetermined approach routes as darkness provides cover. Professional infiltration teams establish forward positions, while support units move specialized equipment. The farm's security systems record systematic preparation for coordinated attacks. Jake's operators report similar tactical pressure throughout their defensive network. In their command center, Alisa's fingers trace tactical overlays showing multiple threat vectors. Professional military teams maintain sophisticated surveillance, while cartel forces control key infrastructure. Through thermal imaging, Michael tracks systematic positioning of assets. Their defensive network faces coordinated pressure from experienced operators. Local intelligence sources report increased cartel presence, establishing control of civilian areas. Professional military contractors coordinate operations while support units position resources. Alisa's enhanced senses detect regular testing of security measures. The farm's automated systems record sophisticated attempts to breach defenses. Through secure channels, Allied operators share analysis of evolving threats as tactical displays show increased activity. Professional infiltration teams probe defensive positions, while electronic warfare units disrupt communications. Michael's combat experience guides adjustment of security measures. Jake's teams report similar pressure across multiple sectors. The farm's security systems adapt to sophisticated attempts at penetration as night fully descends. Professional military teams maintain coordinated surveillance while cartel forces control surrounding terrain. Alisa's fingers move across specialized equipment tracking multiple threat vectors. Through thermal imaging, Michael observes systematic preparation for larger operations. Midnight brings the first coordinated breach. Attempt as professional military teams launch simultaneous attacks against multiple defensive positions. Alisa's enhanced hearing picks up the distinctive sound of specialized breaching charges being set, while her fingers fly across tactical displays coordinating responses. Through night vision optics, Michael observes former Spetsnaz operators leading precision strikes against predetermined targets. The farm's automated defenses engage a sophisticated electronic warfare attempts to disrupt security systems. Professional infiltration teams breach outer perimeters, while cartel forces establish blocking positions on approach routes. Jake's voice comes through encrypted channels reporting similar attacks across their defensive network. They're testing full defensive capabilities, mapping response patterns. Alisa's network of sensors tracks multiple strike teams, moving with military precision through prepared lanes of advance. Classic Russian doctrine, she analyzes, recognizing patterns from her intelligence background. Systematic probing attacks to identify weaknesses before committing main force. Through thermal imaging, Michael observes coordinated positioning of support units and specialized equipment. The command center's tactical displays show the broader assault as professional. Military contractors launch synchronized attacks against Allied positions. Cartel forces control key terrain, while electronic warfare units attempt to isolate defensive sectors. Alisa's fingers trace overlays showing systematic pressure across multiple points. They're mapping our entire defensive network. In their reinforced barn, Michael coordinates immediate responses, while trusted operators move to predetermined positions. The farm's security systems engage sophisticated attempts to breach multiple sectors as professional infiltration teams probe defenses. Through secure channels, Jake's security teams report similar tactical pressure throughout the region. Full spectrum attack, testing everything. Alisa's enhanced senses detect increased electronic warfare activity as specialized equipment targets. Communication networks. Professional military teams maintain coordinated assaults while surveillance units observe defensive reactions. Through night vision optics, Michael tracks systematic movement of forces around their perimeter. They're recording every response. The farm's automated defenses adapt to sophisticated breach attempts as cartel forces establish fire support. Positions. Professional infiltration teams probe security measures, while electronic warfare units disrupt sensors. Alisa's fingers dance across specialized equipment, tracking multiple threat vectors. Pattern suggests preparation for larger operation. Local intelligence sources report increased cartel presence moving through surrounding areas as professional military contractors coordinate attacks. Support units position specialized equipment while surveillance teams maintain observation of defensive responses. Through encrypted channels, Allied operators share tactical data showing systematic pressure across their network. Michael observes sophisticated attempts to breach secondary defenses as former Spetsnaz operators lead precision strikes. The farm's security systems engage multiple threats, while electronic warfare units attempt to disrupt automated responses. Alisa's enhanced hearing detects coordinated movement of personnel and equipment. They're testing everything simultaneously. In their command center, tactical displays show synchronized attacks against predetermined targets throughout their defensive network. Professional military teams maintain systematic pressure while cartel forces control approach routes. Jake's security teams report sophisticated breach attempts across multiple sectors. Full evaluation of defensive capabilities. Alisa's fingers trace tactical overlays as professional infiltration teams probe security measures from multiple angles. Electronic warfare units attempt to disrupt communication while surveillance teams observe responses. Through night vision, optics, Michael tracks coordinated positioning of forces. Methodical testing of every system. The farm's automated defenses face increased pressure as specialized equipment targets specific vulnerabilities. Professional military contractors lead precision strikes, while cartel forces maintain blocking positions. Through secure channels, Allied operators coordinate responses to sophisticated breach attempts. They're building complete tactical picture. Local contacts report systematic movement of reinforcements through cartel-controlled areas as professional military teams maintain coordinated attacks. Support units position specialized equipment while surveillance teams record defensive reactions. Alisa's enhanced senses detect increased electronic warfare activity. Preparing for sustained operations. Michael observes professional infiltration teams testing different breach points as electronic warfare units target security systems. The farm's automated defenses engage multiple threats while surveillance teams maintain observation. Through tactical displays, Jake's operators report similar pressure across defensive positions. Complete evaluation underway. Alisa's network of sensors tracks sophisticated attempts to penetrate defenses as cartel forces control surrounding terrain. Professional military contractors coordinate precision strikes while support units position specialized equipment. Through encrypted channels, Allied operators share tactical data showing systematic testing. Building detailed intelligence picture, the command center's displays show synchronized attacks against multiple defensive sectors as electronic warfare units. Target communications. Professional infiltration teams maintain coordinated pressure while surveillance teams observe responses. Michael's combat experience guides adjustment of security measures. They're learning our patterns. Local intelligence sources track increased movement of specialized equipment through cartel-controlled areas as professional military teams maintain tactical pressure. Support units establish forward positions while surveillance teams record defensive reactions. Alisa's fingers trace tactical overlays showing systematic evaluation. Preparation for major operation. The farm's security systems adapt to sophisticated breach attempts as former Spetsnaz operators lead precision strikes. Professional military contractors coordinate attacks while electronic warfare units target automated defenses. Through night vision optics, Michael observes systematic positioning of forces, testing complete defensive network. Alisa's enhanced hearing detects increased activity as specialized equipment targets multiple security measures. Professional infiltration teams probe defenses while surveillance units maintain observation. Through secure channels, Jake's operators report similar tactical pressure across positions. Full spectrum evaluation continues. In their reinforced barn, trusted operators coordinate responses as tactical displays show synchronized attacks against predetermined targets. Professional military teams maintain systematic pressure while cartel forces control approach routes. Alisa's fingers move across specialized equipment, tracking multiple threats. Building complete tactical picture. Michael observes sophisticated attempts to breach primary defenses as electronic warfare units target security systems. The farm's automated defenses engage multiple threats while surveillance teams record responses. Through encrypted channels, Allied operators share tactical data showing coordinated testing. Evaluating every capability. Local contacts report increased cartel presence establishing control of surrounding areas as professional military contractors. Coordinate attacks. Support units position specialized equipment while surveillance teams maintain observation. Alisa's enhanced senses detect systematic pressure across defensive sectors. Preparing for larger operation. The farm's security systems face sophisticated breach attempts as former Spetsnaz operators lead precision strikes. Professional infiltration teams probe defenses while electronic warfare units target communications. Through tactical displays, Michael tracks coordinated positioning of forces, testing complete defensive network. Alisa's network of sensors detects increased electronic warfare activity as specialized equipment targets multiple systems. Professional military teams maintain systematic pressure while surveillance units observe responses. Through secure channels, Jake's operators report similar tactical testing across positions. Building detailed intelligence picture, the command center's displays show synchronized attacks against Allied positions as cartel forces control surrounding terrain. Professional military contractors coordinate precision strikes while support units position specialized equipment. Alisa's fingers trace tactical overlays showing systematic evaluation. Preparation for sustained operations. Local intelligence. Sources track increased movement of reinforcements through cartel-controlled areas as professional infiltration teams maintain tactical pressure. Electronic warfare units target security systems while surveillance teams record defensive reactions. Through night vision optics, Michael observes coordinated testing, complete capability assessment. The farm's automated defenses adapt to sophisticated breach attempts as specialized equipment targets multiple sectors. Professional military teams maintain systematic pressure while cartel forces establish blocking positions. Through encrypted channels, Allied operators share tactical data showing coordinated evaluation. Building complete picture. Alisa's enhanced hearing detects increased activity as former Spetsnaz operators lead precision strikes against predetermined targets. Professional infiltration teams probe defenses while surveillance units maintain observation. Through tactical displays, Michael tracks systematic positioning of forces. Testing defensive network. The command center's systems show synchronized attacks against multiple security measures as electronic warfare units target communications. Professional military contractors coordinate precision strikes while support units position specialized equipment. Alisa's fingers trace tactical overlays showing systematic pressure. Preparing major operation. Michael observes sophisticated attempts to breach secondary defenses as cartel forces control approach routes. The farm's automated systems engage multiple threats while surveillance teams record responses. Through secure channels, Jake's operators report similar tactical testing across positions. Complete evaluation underway. Dawn reveals the full scope of the night's probing attacks as Alisa's fingers trace damage reports across their tactical displays. Professional military teams breached outer defensive layers at multiple points, leaving sophisticated surveillance equipment carefully concealed within security perimeters. Through thermal imaging, Michael observes systematic withdrawal of attack forces, while new observation posts maintain coverage of their position. In their command center, Jake's voice comes through encrypted channels detailing similar patterns across their defensive network. They've mapped our entire response capability. Main assault units are already moving into position. Alisa's enhanced hearing picks up increased vehicle movement along distant approach routes, suggesting deployment of heavier forces beyond their sensor range. The farm's automated systems track sophisticated electronic warfare as professional. Military contractors establish signal jamming coverage. Former Spetsnaz operators coordinate positioning of specialized equipment while cartel forces maintain control of surrounding terrain. Through secure communications, Allied operators report systematic isolation of defensive positions. They're preparing full-spectrum engagement. Michael observes increased activity at previously identified staging areas as combat units move forward under cover of morning mist. Heavy weapons teams establish firing positions while infiltration units mark breach points identified during night operations. Alisa's fingers dance across tactical displays, tracking multiple threat vectors. Professional military planning, everything coordinated. Local intelligence sources report systematic movement of cartel forces through controlled areas as specialized equipment arrives at forward positions. Professional military teams maintain observation, while support units establish supply lines for sustained operations. Through encrypted channels, Jake's security teams track deployment of assault forces. This is the main push. Alisa's network of sensors detects sophisticated attempts to degrade defensive capabilities as electronic warfare units target critical systems. Professional infiltration teams probe identified weaknesses, while surveillance units maintain constant observation. Through night vision optics, Michael tracks coordinated positioning of forces. They're isolating sectors for targeted breaches. The farm's security systems face increased pressure as specialized jamming equipment targets automated responses. Professional military contractors lead precision strikes while cartel forces control approach routes. Through secure channels, Allied operators coordinate defensive preparations, full assault imminent. In their reinforced barn, trusted operators review final defensive positions as tactical displays show systematic deployment of enemy forces. Alisa's enhanced senses detect increased electronic warfare activity while her fingers trace overlays, showing coordinated positioning. They're implementing everything learned from probing attacks. Michael observes sophisticated breach attempts beginning simultaneously across multiple sectors as former Spetsnaz operators direct precision strikes. The farm's automated defenses engage multiple threats while surveillance teams maintain observation. Through encrypted channels, Jake's operators report similar coordinated assaults throughout defensive network. Main operation underway. Local contacts track increased movement of heavy weapons through cartel-controlled areas as professional military teams establish fire support positions. Support units deploy specialized equipment while surveillance teams record defensive reactions. Alisa's fingers move across tactical displays, showing systematic pressure. They're committing main force. The command center's systems show synchronized attacks against predetermined targets as electronic warfare units isolate defensive sectors. Professional infiltration teams maintain coordinated pressure while cartel forces control surrounding terrain. Through thermal imaging, Michael observes systematic positioning of assault units. Multiple breach points active. Alisa's enhanced hearing detects increased activity as specialized equipment targets critical systems. Professional military contractors lead precision strikes while support units position heavy weapons. Through secure channels, Allied operators share tactical data, showing coordinated attacks. They're pushing all sectors. The farm's security systems adapt to sophisticated breach attempts as former Spetsnaz operators direct assault teams. Professional military teams maintain systematic pressure while electronic warfare units target automated defenses. Through night vision optics, Michael tracks deployment of forces. Full spectrum engagement. Local intelligence sources report increased cartel presence, establishing blocking positions as professional military contractors coordinate attacks. Support units deploy specialized equipment while surveillance teams maintain observation. Alisa's fingers trace tactical overlays, showing synchronized assaults. They're implementing prepared plans. Michael observes sophisticated attempts to breach primary defenses as heavy weapons teams establish fire support positions. The farm's automated systems engage multiple threats while surveillance units record responses. Through encrypted channels, Jake's operators report similar tactical pressure across defensive network. Main assault developing. Alisa's network of sensors tracks increased electronic warfare activity as specialized equipment targets multiple systems. Professional infiltration. Teams probe identified weaknesses while cartel forces control approach routes. Through tactical displays, Michael observes coordinated positioning of forces. They're exploiting mapped vulnerabilities. The command center's displays show synchronized attacks against Allied positions as professional military teams direct precision strikes. Support units deploy heavy weapons while surveillance teams maintain observation. Through secure channels, trusted operators coordinate defensive responses. Full commitment of forces. Local contacts report systematic movement of reinforcements through controlled areas as specialized equipment targets defensive sectors. Professional military contractors lead coordinated assaults while cartel forces establish blocking positions. Alisa's enhanced sensors detect increased pressure across perimeter. They're pushing everywhere simultaneously. The farm's automated defenses face sophisticated breach attempts as former Spetsnaz operators direct main assault units. Professional infiltration teams maintain systematic pressure, while electronic warfare units target communications. Through thermal imaging, Michael tracks deployment of forces, multiple penetration attempts. In their reinforced barn, tactical displays show synchronized attacks against predetermined targets as heavy weapons teams establish fire support. Professional military teams coordinate precision strikes while surveillance units maintain observation. Alisa's fingers trace overlays showing systematic pressure. They're implementing rehearsed plans. Michael observes increased activity along identified approach routes as specialized equipment targets defensive systems. The farm's security measures engage multiple threats, while cartel forces control surrounding terrain. Through encrypted channels, Jake's operators report similar tactical pressure across positions. Main effort developing. Alisa's network of sensors detects sophisticated attempts to degrade automated responses as professional military contractors. Direct coordinated assaults. Support units deploy heavy weapons, while infiltration teams probe identified weaknesses. Through secure channels, Allied operators share tactical data showing synchronized attacks. They're pushing all sectors. Local intelligence sources track systematic movement of combat units through cartel-controlled areas as electronic warfare targets critical systems. Professional military teams maintain coordinated pressure, while surveillance units record defensive reactions. Through night vision optics, Michael observes deployment of forces. Full commitment underway. The farm's security systems adapt to sophisticated breach attempts as specialized equipment targets multiple sectors. Professional infiltration teams maintain systematic pressure, while heavy weapons establish fire support positions. Through tactical displays, Alisa's fingers trace coordinated positioning of forces. They're exploiting probed weaknesses. Michael observes increased activity at forward positions as former Spetsnaz operators direct main assault units. The farm's automated defenses engage multiple threats while surveillance teams maintain observation. Through encrypted channels, trusted operators coordinate defensive responses. Multiple penetration attempts. Alisa's enhanced hearing detects sophisticated electronic warfare as professional military contractors lead precision strikes. Support. Units deploy specialized equipment while cartel forces control approach routes. Through secure channels, Jake's operators report similar tactical pressure across network. They're pushing everywhere. The command center's systems show synchronized attacks against predetermined targets as heavy weapons teams establish firing positions. Professional infiltration teams maintain coordinated pressure while surveillance units record responses. Through thermal imaging, Michael tracks systematic deployment of forces. Full spectrum engagement. Local contacts report increased cartel presence, moving through controlled areas as specialized equipment targets defensive sectors. Professional military teams direct precision strikes, while support units deploy heavy weapons. Alisa's fingers trace tactical overlays showing coordinated assaults. They're implementing prepared plans. The farm's automated systems face sophisticated breach attempts as former Spetsnaz operators lead main assault units. Professional military contractors maintain systematic pressure while electronic warfare targets communications. Through night vision optics, Michael observes deployment of forces. Multiple penetration attempts. Alisa's network of sensors tracks increased activity as specialized equipment targets critical systems. Professional infiltration teams probe identified weaknesses, while heavy weapons establish fire support positions. Through encrypted channels, Allied operators share tactical data showing synchronized attacks. They're pushing all sectors. The first major breach occurs at midday as synchronized explosions rupture defensive barriers along predetermined points. Alisa's enhanced hearing detects multiple assault teams moving through created gaps while her fingers dance across tactical displays, coordinating responses. Through thermal imaging, Michael observes former Spetsnaz operators leading precision strikes against exposed positions. Heavy weapons fire erupts from established positions as professional military teams push through identified weaknesses. The farm's automated defenses engage multiple threats, while electronic warfare units attempt to disrupt communications. Jake's voice cuts through encrypted channels, reporting similar breaches across their network. They're exploiting mapped vulnerabilities simultaneously. Alisa's network of sensors tracks sophisticated penetration attempts as specialized equipment targets critical systems. Professional infiltration teams maintain coordinated pressure while cartel forces control surrounding terrain. Through secure channels, Allied operators share tactical data showing synchronized attacks. Full commitment of forces across all sectors. In their command center, tactical displays show systematic exploitation of breached defenses as combat units move forward, under covering fire. Former Spetsnaz operators direct precision strikes, while support units deploy heavy weapons. Michael's combat experience guides adjustment of defensive measures. They're pushing through identified gaps. The farm's security systems face increased pressure as professional military contractors lead coordinated assaults. Electronic warfare units target automated responses, while surveillance teams maintain observation. Through night vision optics, Michael tracks deployment of forces. Multiple penetration attempts developing. Alisa's enhanced hearing detects increased activity as specialized equipment exploits created breaches. Professional infiltration teams probe deeper into defensive positions, while heavy weapons establish fire support. Through encrypted channels, Jake's operators report similar tactical pressure across network. They're pushing everywhere simultaneously. Local intelligence sources track systematic movement of reinforcements through controlled areas as combat units exploit initial breaches. Professional military teams maintain coordinated pressure, while surveillance units record defensive reactions. Through tactical displays, Michael observes deployment of forces. Main effort developing through gaps. The command center's systems show synchronized attacks against predetermined targets as heavy weapons teams establish firing positions. Professional military contractors lead precision strikes while electronic warfare targets communications. Alisa's fingers trace tactical overlays showing coordinated assaults. They're implementing prepared plans. Michael observes increased activity at forward positions as specialized equipment exploits breached sectors. The farm's automated defenses engage multiple threats, while surveillance teams maintain observation. Through secure channels, trusted operators coordinate defensive responses. Multiple penetration attempts active. Alisa's network of sensors tracks sophisticated attempts to widen initial breaches as professional military teams push forward. Support units deploy heavy weapons, while cartel forces control approach routes. Through encrypted channels, Allied operators share tactical data showing synchronized attacks. They're expanding successful penetrations. Local contacts report systematic movement of combat units through cartel-controlled areas as electronic warfare targets defensive systems. Professional infiltration teams maintain coordinated pressure, while surveillance units record responses. Through thermal imaging, Michael tracks deployment of forces. Full commitment through breached sectors. The farm's security systems adapt to sophisticated exploitation attempts as former Spetsnaz operators direct main assault units. Professional military contractors maintain systematic pressure while specialized equipment targets communications. Through night vision optics, Michael observes coordinated positioning of forces, multiple penetration attempts developing. In their reinforced barn, tactical displays show synchronized attacks against exposed positions as heavy weapons teams establish fire support. Professional military teams coordinate precision strikes while surveillance units maintain observation. Alisa's fingers trace overlays showing systematic pressure. They're exploiting created breaches. Michael observes increased activity along penetrated sectors as specialized equipment targets defensive systems. The farm's automated defenses engage multiple threats, while cartel forces control surrounding terrain. Through encrypted channels, Jake's operators report similar tactical pressure across positions. Main effort pushing through gaps. Alisa's enhanced hearing detects sophisticated attempts to expand initial breaches as professional military contractors direct coordinated assaults. Support units deploy heavy weapons, while infiltration teams probe deeper into defensive positions. Through secure channels, Allied operators share tactical data showing synchronized attacks. Their widening penetrations, local intelligence. Sources track systematic movement of combat units through breached sectors as electronic warfare targets critical systems. Professional military teams maintain coordinated pressure while surveillance units record defensive reactions. Through tactical displays, Michael observes deployment of forces. Full exploitation underway. The farm's security systems face increased pressure as specialized equipment targets multiple sectors. Professional infiltration teams maintain systematic pressure while heavy weapons establish fire support positions. Through night vision optics, Alisa's fingers trace coordinated positioning of forces. They're expanding successful breaches. Michael observes sophisticated attempts to exploit penetrated defenses as former Spetsnaz operators direct main assault units. The farm's automated systems engage multiple threats, while surveillance teams maintain observation. Through encrypted channels, trusted operators coordinate defensive responses. Multiple exploitation attempts active. Alisa's network of sensors tracks increased electronic warfare as professional military contractors lead precision strikes. Support units deploy specialized equipment while cartel forces control approach routes. Through secure channels, Jake's operators report similar tactical pressure across network. They're pushing through all breaches. The command center's systems show synchronized attacks against predetermined targets as heavy weapons teams establish firing positions. Professional infiltration teams maintain coordinated pressure while surveillance units record responses. Through thermal imaging, Michael tracks systematic deployment of forces. Full commitment through gaps. Local contacts. Report increased cartel presence, moving through breached sectors as specialized equipment targets defensive systems. Professional military teams direct precision strikes, while support units deploy heavy weapons. Alisa's fingers trace tactical overlays, showing coordinated assaults. They're exploiting penetrated sectors. The farm's automated systems face sophisticated exploitation attempts as former Spetsnaz operators lead main assault units. Professional military contractors maintain systematic pressure while electronic warfare targets communications. Through night vision optics, Michael observes deployment of forces. Multiple penetration attempts developing. Alisa's network of sensors tracks increased activity as specialized equipment targets critical systems. Professional infiltration teams probe deeper into defensive positions, while heavy weapons establish fire support positions. Through encrypted channels, Allied operators share tactical data showing synchronized attacks. They're expanding successful breaches. In their command center, tactical displays show systematic exploitation of penetrated sectors as combat units move forward under covering fire. Former Spetsnaz operators direct precision strikes, while support units deploy heavy weapons. Michael's combat experience guides adjustment of defensive measures. They're pushing through identified gaps. The farm's security systems face increased pressure as professional military contractors lead coordinated assaults through breached sectors. Electronic warfare units target automated responses while surveillance teams maintain observation. Through thermal imaging, Michael tracks deployment of forces. Multiple exploitation attempts active. Local intelligence sources track systematic movement of reinforcements through controlled areas as combat units exploit initial breaches. Professional military teams maintain coordinated pressure while surveillance units record defensive reactions. Through encrypted channels, Alisa coordinates responses to developing threats. They're widening penetrations. The tide begins to turn as Michael's years of Delta Force experience guide precise counterattacks against exposed assault teams. Alisa's enhanced hearing tracks enemy movements through breached sectors, while her fingers coordinate devastating responses across tactical displays. Through thermal imaging, their automated defenses engage professional military units caught in prepared kill zones. Jake's voice cuts through encrypted channels as Allied operators launch synchronized strikes against identified command positions. Multiple enemy officers confirmed down, their coordinations breaking. The farm's security systems exploit growing confusion among cartel forces as former Spetsnaz operators struggle to maintain tactical cohesion. Alisa's network of sensors detects disarray spreading through enemy ranks as precision counterattacks disrupt their command structure. Professional military contractors scramble to reorganize while electronic warfare units lose effectiveness. Through secure channels, Michael directs trusted operators toward critical weak points. Push them back through their own breaches. In their command center, tactical displays show systematic elimination of enemy leadership as combat units fall into disorder. Heavy weapons teams lose fire coordination while support units struggle to maintain supply lines. Through night vision optics, Michael tracks growing chaos among attacking forces. Their professional core is crumbling. The farm's automated defenses exploit enemy confusion as specialized equipment targets retreating units. Professional infiltration teams face devastating ambushes while cartel forces break under precise counter-pressure. Alisa's fingers trace tactical overlays showing widespread disruption. They're losing organizational cohesion. Local intelligence sources report increasing panic among cartel forces as professional military teams suffer mounting casualties. Combat units withdraw, from breached sectors, while surveillance teams lose observational control. Through encrypted channels, Jake's operators report similar success across defensive network. The tide's turning everywhere. Michael observes systematic collapse of enemy command structure as precision strikes eliminate key leaders. The farm's security systems maintain relentless pressure while former Spetsnaz operators fall back in disarray. Through thermal imaging, Allied forces exploit growing vulnerabilities. Their professional backbone is breaking. Alisa's enhanced hearing detects increasing chaos in enemy communications as specialized units lose tactical coordination. Professional military contractors withdraw under heavy losses, while cartel forces abandon positions. Through secure channels, trusted operators push aggressive counterattacks. They're losing all cohesion. The command center's displays show synchronized strikes against exposed enemy units as heavy weapons teams lose fire support. Professional infiltration teams face devastating ambushes while surveillance units withdraw in confusion. Through tactical overlays, Alisa tracks systematic collapse, their entire structures failing. Local contacts report widespread retreat among cartel forces as professional military teams suffer decisive defeats. Combat units abandon equipment, while support units lose supply coordination. Through encrypted channels, Michael directs exploitation of enemy weakness. Push them back everywhere. The farm's security systems maintain relentless pressure as enemy forces withdraw through breached sectors. Electronic warfare units lose effectiveness while specialized equipment falls into defensive hands. Through night vision optics, Jake's operators report similar success across network. They're breaking completely. Alisa's network of sensors tracks systematic enemy collapse as precision counterattacks exploit exposed positions. Professional military contractors abandon tactical cohesion while cartel forces flee in panic. Through secure channels, Allied operators push aggressive pursuit. Don't let them regroup. In their reinforced barn, tactical displays show devastating strikes against retreating units as enemy command structure disintegrates. Heavy weapons teams maintain relentless pressure while support units exploit created chaos. Michael's combat experience guides pursuit operations. Keep them scattered. Local intelligence sources track widespread enemy withdrawal as professional military teams lose organizational control. Combat units abandon sophisticated equipment, while surveillance teams lose observational capability. Through encrypted channels, Alisa coordinates aggressive follow-up. They're completely disorganized. The farm's automated defenses continue precise engagement as enemy forces retreat in growing panic. Former Spetsnaz operators abandon tactical positions while cartel forces lose all cohesion. Through thermal imaging, Michael directs systematic exploitation. Push them beyond recovery. Alisa's enhanced hearing detects complete collapse of enemy communications as specialized units withdraw under heavy losses. Professional military contractors abandon command positions while support units lose supply coordination. Through secure channels, Jake's operators report total success. They're done. The command center's systems show devastating strikes against retreating forces as heavy weapons teams maintain pressure. Professional infiltration teams face complete destruction, while surveillance units abandon equipment. Through tactical displays, Michael tracks systematic pursuit. Don't give them breathing room. Local contacts report total collapse among cartel. Forces as professional military teams withdraw in disorder. Combat units abandon sophisticated weapons, while support units lose all cohesion. Through encrypted channels, Alisa coordinates final strikes. Finish their organizational capability. The farm's security systems continue aggressive engagement as enemy forces retreat through multiple sectors. Electronic warfare units abandon equipment, while specialized teams lose tactical control. Through night vision optics, trusted operators push relentless pursuit. Keep them running. Michael observes complete enemy collapse as precision strikes eliminate remaining leadership. Professional military contractors withdraw under devastating losses, while cartel forces abandon positions. Through secure channels, Jake's operators report similar success throughout network. They're finished here. Alisa's network of sensors tracks systematic destruction of enemy capabilities as counterattacks exploit every weakness. Combat units abandon sophisticated equipment, while surveillance teams lose all effectiveness. Through tactical overlays, Michael directs final pursuit. Complete the destruction. The command center's displays show devastating strikes against retreating units as enemy forces lose all cohesion. Heavy weapons teams maintain relentless pressure, while support units exploit created chaos. Through encrypted channels, Alisa coordinates aggressive follow-up. Don't let them recover. Local intelligence sources report total defeat of cartel forces as professional military teams withdraw in complete disorder. Former Spetsnaz operators abandon tactical positions while surveillance units lose capability. Through thermal imaging, Jake's operators push final exploitation. They're done here. The farm's automated defenses continue precise engagement as enemy forces retreat in growing panic. Electronic warfare units abandon equipment, while specialized teams lose organizational control. Through secure channels, Michael directs systematic pursuit. Keep them scattered. Alisa's enhanced hearing detects complete collapse of enemy tactical communication as professional military contractors withdraw under losses. Combat units abandon sophisticated weapons, while support units lose all coordination. Through tactical displays, trusted operators report total success. Their structures destroyed. In their command center, displays show devastating strikes against retreating forces as heavy weapons teams maintain pressure. Professional infiltration teams face complete destruction, while surveillance units abandon positions. Through encrypted channels, Michael tracks systematic pursuit. Finish their capability. Local contacts report systematic collapse among cartel forces as professional military teams withdraw in disorder. Combat units abandon equipment, while support units lose all cohesion. Through night vision optics, Alisa coordinates final strikes. Complete their destruction. The farm's security systems continue aggressive engagement as enemy forces retreat through multiple sectors. Electronic warfare units abandon sophisticated equipment, while specialized teams lose tactical control. Through secure channels, Jake's operators push relentless pursuit. Keep them running. Michael observes total enemy defeat as precision strikes eliminate remaining leadership. Professional military contractors withdraw under devastating losses, while cartel forces abandon positions. Through thermal imaging, trusted operators report complete success. They're finished here. Alisa's network of sensors tracks systematic destruction of enemy capabilities as counterattacks exploit every weakness. Combat units abandon sophisticated equipment, while surveillance teams lose all effectiveness. Through encrypted channels, Michael directs final pursuit, complete the destruction. In his luxurious Mexico City compound, Cortez watches live feeds of his force's devastating defeat with cold fury. Multiple screens show systematic collapse of his professional military units while cartel forces retreat in complete disorder. Through encrypted channels, his remaining commanders report total loss of tactical control across all sectors. Alisa's network of sensors tracks final elimination of enemy capabilities as counterattacks exploit every remaining weakness. Professional military contractors abandon sophisticated equipment while specialized teams lose all coordination. Through tactical displays, Michael directs systematic pursuit operations against retreating forces. The farm's automated defenses continue precise engagement as enemy units withdraw through multiple sectors. Former Spetsnaz operators abandon tactical positions while cartel forces lose complete cohesion. Through secure channels, Jake's operators report similar success across defensive network. Their entire structures finished. In their command center, Alisa's enhanced hearing detects growing panic in enemy communications as professional military teams suffer final defeats. Combat units abandon heavy weapons while support units lose all effectiveness. Through encrypted channels, trusted operators push aggressive exploitation. Don't let them regroup anywhere. Local intelligence sources track systematic destruction of cartel infrastructure as Cortez's forces withdraw in complete disorder. Sophisticated equipment lies abandoned while surveillance teams lose observational capability. Through thermal imaging, Michael coordinates final pursuit operations. Complete their organizational collapse. The farm's security systems maintain relentless pressure as enemy forces retreat through breached sectors. Electronic warfare units abandon equipment while specialized teams lose tactical control. Through night vision optics, Jake's operators push aggressive follow-up. Keep them scattered and broken. Alisa's fingers dance across tactical displays, showing devastating strikes against retreating units as enemy command structure disintegrates. Professional military contractors withdraw under heavy losses, while cartel forces flee in panic. Through secure channels, Allied operators report total victory. They're completely finished here. Local contacts report complete collapse of Cortez's forces as professional military teams abandon sophisticated weapons. Combat units lose all cohesion, while support units withdraw in disorder. Through encrypted channels, Michael directs systematic exploitation. Push them beyond any recovery capability. The command center systems show final elimination of enemy resistance as heavy weapons teams maintain relentless pressure. Former Spetsnaz operators abandon tactical positions while surveillance units lose effectiveness. Through tactical overlays, Alisa tracks systematic pursuit. Their entire structures destroyed. Cortez's security chief delivers the final casualty reports, while screens show abandoned equipment across multiple sectors. Professional military contractors suffer devastating losses while cartel forces lose organizational capability. Through secure channels, remaining commanders report complete defeat. We've lost everything here. The farm's automated defenses continue precise engagement as enemy forces withdraw in total disorder. Electronic warfare units abandon sophisticated equipment while specialized teams lose tactical control. Through night vision optics, Jake's operators push aggressive pursuit. Keep them running south. Alisa's network of sensors tracks systematic destruction of enemy capabilities as counterattacks exploit every weakness. Combat units abandon heavy weapons, while surveillance teams lose all effectiveness. Through encrypted channels, Michael coordinates final strikes. Complete their organizational collapse. Local intelligence sources report total defeat of Cortez's forces as professional military teams withdraw under losses. Sophisticated equipment lies abandoned, while support units lose all cohesion. Through tactical displays, trusted operators push aggressive exploitation. They're finished completely. The farm's security systems maintain relentless pressure as enemy forces retreat through multiple sectors. Former Spetsnaz operators abandon positions while cartel forces lose tactical control. Through secure channels, Jake's operators report similar success throughout network. Their structures destroyed. Alisa's enhanced hearing detects complete collapse of enemy communications as professional military contractors withdraw in disorder. Combat units abandon equipment, while specialized teams lose effectiveness. Through thermal imaging, Michael directs systematic pursuit. Keep them scattered. In their command center, tactical displays show devastating strikes against retreating units as Cortez's forces lose all cohesion. Heavy weapons teams maintain pressure while support units exploit created chaos. Through encrypted channels, Alisa coordinates aggressive follow-up. Don't let them recover. Local contacts report systematic destruction of cartel infrastructure as professional military teams withdraw under losses. Sophisticated equipment lies abandoned, while surveillance units lose capability. Through night vision optics, Jake's operators push final exploitation. They're done here permanently. The farm's automated defenses continue precise engagement as enemy forces retreat in growing panic. Electronic warfare units abandon positions, while specialized teams lose organizational control. Through secure channels, Michael directs systematic pursuit. Complete their destruction entirely. Alisa's network of sensors tracks final elimination of enemy resistance as counterattacks exploit every weakness. Combat units abandon heavy weapons, while surveillance teams lose effectiveness. Through tactical displays, trusted operators report total success. Their capabilities destroyed. Cortez stands in his command center, watching his carefully planned operation end in complete defeat. Professional military contractors withdraw under devastating losses, while cartel forces abandon sophisticated equipment. Through encrypted channels, his remaining commanders report total collapse across all sectors. The aftermath of the battle transforms the Texas border region as word spreads of Cortez's devastating defeat. Local communities, inspired by the Mitchell farm's successful defense, begin openly resisting cartel influence. Through their established networks, Alisa and Michael coordinate with other veterans, systematically dismantling remaining cartel infrastructure. Cortez himself disappears into the shadows of Mexico City, his reputation shattered by the humiliating failure against what he thought was a simple farmer and his blind wife. The sophisticated military equipment abandoned during the retreat provides crucial evidence of international arms trafficking, leading to multiple federal investigations. The Mitchell farm returns to its quiet agricultural routine, though Alisa's enhanced hearing still monitors their sophisticated security network, while Michael maintains their defensive preparations. Their victory sends a powerful message throughout the border region. Some lines shouldn't be crossed, and underestimating your target can be a fatal mistake. In the end, A Delta Force veteran protecting his family proved more formidable than an entire cartel army, demonstrating that true strength lies not just in numbers or equipment, but in skill, experience, and the fierce determination to protect what matters most. If you enjoyed this intense story of courage, tactical brilliance, and the power of underestimating your opponent, make sure to subscribe to our channel for more thrilling military and action content. Hit that notification bell to never miss our latest uploads, and let us know in the comments what other incredible stories you'd like to hear about veterans who proved that retirement doesn't mean they've lost their edge. Remember, sometimes the most dangerous adversary isn't the one making threats. It's the quiet farmer with a hidden past and the skills to back it up. Like, share, and join our growing community of military and action enthusiasts. Until next time, stay vigilant and never underestimate the warrior spirit that lies beneath the surface.